Do you ever find yourself bracing for the impact of the next big blow up? That argument loop that keeps coming around, waiting for that other shoe to drop, waiting for the storm that's about to hit, because that's just how the ride in your relationship seems to always go. The confusion and the chaos you're feeling, it's real. It is by design. I'm asking you to go on a ride to learn what this endless carousel looks like and how to step off of it in a healthy way that will move you forward on your pathway and not keep you going in circles. We're not just naming the loop, we are going to break down the 4 stages so that we can understand what's going on and we can get off that crazy ride. Hey, I'm Valerie, and this is Validated. And today we're going to be talking about what I call the endless carousel, a cycle and a pattern of hidden abuse behaviors that I want to unpack and give you some language and clarity. Lenore Walker's cycle of abuse is a very commonly known pattern. I've taken that basic premise, built it out with different language. I call it the endless carousel. You're on that carousel and it just keeps going around and around, and it's very hard to get off of. But if we can start recognizing the stages, we set ourselves up to navigate and handle whatever stage we find ourselves in. The ultimate goal is to get off the ride altogether. I want to say I recognize everyone's situation is unique and has nuances based on you and the person you are dealing with. These will not apply to every person or to every situation. The first one is the buildup. Number 2 is the blow up. Number 3 is the spin cycle. And number 4 is the piece put on. What I also want you to notice is at the center of all 4 of those stages is the axis that the carousel spins on. That axis is power and control. Many times we get into these endless loop arguments with this individual and we think it's about that fight, that argument, that thing that upset them. It really isn't. It is fundamentally about exercising power and control over another person. That fight, the topic of that or the situation, look at that as that's kind of the sideshow. That's the thing to get you to focus on because you're desperately trying to fix that thing when really the real issue is that this person wants power and control. These are just methods that they use in order to enact power and control. Number 1 is the buildup. And yes, in the build-up stage, you can literally feel the tension building. Now, if there's other people living in your home, I can pretty much guarantee you they can feel the tension building as well. Everybody in the home starts learning to walk on eggshells, to be very careful, concerned about upsetting this person because they can feel this tension building towards something. But what? Is it the last big blow up that happened? Is it about that? Is it something new? Did I just do something? What did I do now? It just sets up this anxiety and tension, and it's like palpable. You can feel it. This creates the feeling to need to appease the other person, to walk on eggshells, to be very careful not to upset them. And in your attempts to try to keep the peace, you are not able to just relax, be yourself. You feel like you have to be on high alert, you're vigilant. Think of what that does to your cortisol levels and your adrenaline over time. It really creates this very unhealthy scenario. You're doing everything you can to try to keep the peace. It's not real peace, but you're just trying to keep things at bay. Or at the least, postpone this inevitable blow up that's coming. You're working to shield anybody in your home from that. It creates a lot of anxiety and stress. Honestly, just talking about it, my stomach is in a knot. It just starts building and it's escalating. You're just wondering when and what is going to cause the blow up. It could be something big. It could be something very minor. During this stage, you may start really doubting yourself and thinking, I must have done something to cause this problem, to put myself back in this cycle with this individual. Here are some ways that the buildup can show up. This is in the stage where things are just starting to ramp up. You might feel like they're extra impatient, annoyed, or irritated by you. There could be sarcasm during this stage, mockery, belittling, things of that nature, rising tension over minor issues. They seem overly critical and annoyed by you or by your children. If you find yourself in this buildup stage, here is an action step that you can take. You can start documenting date, time, words that were spoken, not emotions, but actual words that were spoken. This will help you to see that this really did happen, that you were able to write down what occurred. That will help you when somebody else perhaps spins the story of what happened. You'll be able to look back and go, I'm not saying you would say this to them, because many times it's not helpful to present, hey, I documented this. This is for you. But when you do that, you have a means to go back and remind yourself, no, this really did happen. I wrote down the actual words that I spoke and that they spoke. That honestly helps you to not feel crazy, because I remember what I said, what you said, and I documented it right after. This also helps you to see if this is a pattern. The Endless Carousel, and you're on it, it will help you to go, yeah, this is a pattern that we go through the same argument over and over. It just keeps repeating. But also, it's the same pattern with a whole lot of different arguments. But we just constantly are on this endless carousel. That will help give validity to you, validation that you are actually living in this kind of a environment. So that is stage one, the buildup. Stage two is the blow up. Now, very candidly, this is the most dangerous of the 4 stages. If things are going to escalate out of control, this is the stage where that's most likely going to happen. Since we're focused on hidden abuse, here are some ways that the blow up may show up. It could be in anger, raging, accusations, intimidation, very argumentative, trying to pick a fight with you, threatening you, your children, your pets, threatening themselves. This is the peak of conflict and confrontation. And so this is when things have gotten to the pinnacle. And recognizing that, we want to do things to de-escalate that for our own safety and protection. And I just say that so that we are operating from knowledge. Remember, knowledge is power. So if you know that there is more potential, I'm not saying that it will erupt into something physical or dangerous, but if you know going in that this is the stage that is the most volatile, you will have better ability to regulate what you do and how you handle things. And because of that, you need to determine what level of safety planning you need to put in place for yourself and if you have children in the home, and be wise in how you handle when things go to the blow up. The blow up could be directed to you as the partner, but it also can be directed towards children in the home. It's not always us that is on the receiving end of these things. It could be your child. It's super important to remember this during this stage, because this is where all emotions are heightened, not just for them, but for you. This is the stage where you're going to find yourself going into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. What I want you to know is, in this stage of the blow up, it's not about the fight. That's the sideshow going on over here. The real issue is power and control and maintaining that. When you start recognizing that, you will be able to at least take a bit of a step back, look at things more objectively, and you'll start realizing, I see what's going on here. When you recognize that, you'll start having the ability to look at this differently. And to learn more about that, I strongly encourage you to watch my episode, If I Don't Have Bruises, Is It Still Abuse? We talk a lot about how hidden abuse manifests and what is behind all of it, power and control. That is the name of the game. When you find yourself in the blow up, the things that you want to have prepared ahead of time, that you want to go into that scenario already having decided, is What do you need to do to secure your safety and potentially your children's safety? Do you need to leave the room? Do you need to leave the house? Do you need to do something even more than that? Those are things you want to have thought out before you get into that situation. This is all about empowering yourself with knowledge and preparation to be as safe as you possibly can be. So, question for you. If you find yourself in the blow-up stage, what immediate internal boundary can you set? And by that I mean, at what point do you determine the best boundary for me is to step out of the room or step out of the house or take the kids and go to the park? These are things that you want to be prepared ahead of how you're going to handle when that blow up happens. If you live in an environment of hidden abuse, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So I just want you to be prepared so that you can walk things out in the safest and healthiest way for yourself and for your children. I have a theory about the build-up stage that runs into the blow-up stage. I wonder if the individual during the build-up stage is spending so much time ruminating on their frustrations, annoyances, having jealousy, suspicion, those feelings that they feel towards the other person, and their feelings about themselves of being superior, entitled. My theory is that these deep inner tensions that they feel inside just start building anger and resentment in them to the point where it explodes in them and it shows up as this blow up, however it manifests. It's an explosion of those emotions. And that explosion, it's kind of like it relieves the tension of their pressure valve. And so they've kind of got it out of their system, then they're able to calm back down, but they never really deal with their internal issues that are about them. They're not even about you. They get projected onto you. They have that blow up, the pressure valve released some pressure, and then they go through the cycle and they're kind of calm, and then it starts building again because they aren't willing to deal with their own issues. And so they're on the carousel forever. And that's really sad because they're not dealing with the things that cause them to treat other people in these toxic, destructive ways. How amazing it would be if they were willing and able to get the help that they need to deal with those things. They could potentially step out of that endless carousel that they're on too. Again, it's just a theory, but it makes sense to me. All right, we've got stage 1, the buildup, stage 2, the blow up, and now we're entering into stage 3, which is the spin cycle. This stage will most likely, in my opinion, go one of two ways. During the spin cycle, it is all about power and control in whatever they want the story to be to maintain that. One way would be apologies and gifts. The other would be doubling down. So let's talk about apologies and gifts for a minute. Now remember, we're talking about when you are living in hidden abuse. We're not talking about somebody that's emotionally healthy and you two have an argument and they apologize. They buy you a gift. That's normal. We're talking about these imbalances of power and control in these forms of hidden abuse when those manifest in an apology or a gift. You could have an apology and no change in behavior. You could have an apology with a gift and no change in behavior, or you could just have a gift and that gift is basically the apology, but never any ownership or saying I'm sorry. With all of those, the really important thing is there's no change. If there's no change, that's not a true apology. A true apology means you're repentant. You had a change of heart and you acknowledge it with your words. You say, hey, what I did, how I handled that was wrong. Would you please forgive me? You're asking the person to forgive you. That's a true apology. But that's not where the apology ends. An apology isn't real if the person doesn't make changes. It may not be an overnight change, but if you don't see them working towards changing that behavior, that is not a sincere apology. And the thing with gifts, especially if there's no apology and you're given a gift, it might be a lovely gift. It might be something expensive, but that really feels like a bribe. If there's no acknowledgement of wrongdoing and you're given something and maybe something substantial, To me, that sends the message of this is over. I'm kind of buying you off and we're not talking about this anymore. That creates this weird dynamic of you feeling like you can't bring it up because they just gave you this gift, or they said they were sorry but they're not changing, and you can't talk about it anymore. The other way would be they double down on their stance that occurred during the blow up. And even that can look different ways. Listen to what 1 John chapter 3 verse 18 says about the sincerity of our words in relationship to apologies. Let us not love merely in theory with word giving lip service, but in action, in truth, in practice, and in sincerity, because practical acts of love are more than words. This is important to remember. We so badly want to get to this peace place that we overlook when someone doesn't actually want to own what they did. And what ends up happening, this builds resentment inside of you towards that other person because they're not owning anything. And you're not requiring them to own any part of it. You're wanting peace at any price, and in the process, resentment can start building up in you. And you don't want to go there. Life is too short to live with resentment and unforgiveness towards other people. We're looking for a sincere apology and a change of action, going in the opposite direction, and being able to see benchmarks that they're making changes and you see the effort. The other direction the spin cycle can take is doubling down on their position. Doubling down can look like making excuses, justifications for what they did or how they responded or reacted. It could look like gaslighting. This will leave you questioning your own reality. It could look like blaming you or the family member that they blew up at. Denial that the event even happened. Yes, that does happen. It can also be downplaying the intensity of the event. Oh, you're overreacting. It wasn't that bad. I didn't yell at you. Proverbs 21, 29, and 30 in the Message says, unscrupulous people fake it a lot. Honest people are sure of their steps. Nothing clever, nothing conceived, nothing contrived can get the better of God. God is watching. He knows what's going on. As you lean more into God, I believe you're going to get clarity. As you're walking through these different stages, if you ask God to help you see what's going on, to be able to document for yourself what's going on, you're going to start seeing more clearly, and it's not going to be so confusing, regardless of whether you end up with apologies and gifts or the doubling down. The thing we have to remember is you're still on the endless carousel, and the gift may appease you for a moment, but it's not going to give you the peace you're looking for. Because you're on this endless carousel, you're either in a constant state of hoping for change, and if you've been on this ride for very long, deep down you probably know it's not changing, but it keeps you in this endless loop of hoping for that. It can also convince you that what they're saying, their spin, is true. If you've been conditioned to believe that you don't have a good memory, you forget things a lot, or you don't get it right and they know better, you can be conditioned to start believing whatever they're saying is the truth. And then the other thing that can happen is you can simply get to the point where you may know the truth, but you have been so worn down by them that you just agree with whatever they say just to get them off your back, just to get a little peace and respite. Remember, these are strategies used to keep you on the endless carousel and to maintain power and control. So where do you physically need to be or go when you find yourself in the spin cycle? I would suggest that you need to be building your support network so that when you come through the blow up and you're in this stage, you have somebody that you can talk to, that will listen, that will validate what you've been walking through. So we've got stage 1, the build up, stage 2, the blow up, stage 3, the spin cycle. Enter stage 4, the peace put on. Now this is a very deceptive time, and the thing that we have to remember is this is not real peace. This is a fake artificial calm. The thing about stage 4 that is kind of heartbreaking, really, we so long for peace that we find ourselves longing for the peace put on. And you can get to where it's satisfactory to you to just have that artificial peace just because you haven't experienced real peace in so very long. But I really need you to hear me. This is artificial and it's not lasting peace. This is a way to assuage you until the next blow up comes around. We need to be wise and recognize the artificialness. This is like emotional astroturf, emotional false eyelashes, emotional monopoly money. It's not real and it doesn't last. When you recognize that, you can start using that peace put on time to your own benefit. How? During that time, I found I was able to have the most focus and energy to start planning how I was going to exit off the endless carousel. That was the time that I worked on things like building up my relationship with God even stronger than it already was. So I was spiritually strong during those difficult times. I worked on learning who could I talk to, who could I trust that I could bring into that inner confidential world of mine that could potentially help me, or at least be a sounding board to help me know I wasn't crazy. You want to use that time to start preparing yourself of how you're going to exit the endless carousel. Stage 4, aka the peace put on, actually has a very specific point, and that is to create an illusion for you of peace. But remember, it's not real peace. But if that person can present themselves and your relationship as being in this calm space, their hope is to keep you on the endless carousel and to give you, a little something, something, a little breadcrumb that will satisfy you and pacify you so that you don't bail during that time. You see, the point of the peace put on stage is to create the illusion of the thing that you long for the most. And that is true peace, true harmony, true oneness with your spouse. If an illusion of that can be created and you are willing to put up with that, then you just stay on the endless carousel and the power and control dynamic continues on, just on and on. During this stage, you may feel like the blow-up issue has been forgotten by the other person because they're not bringing it up and they're acting like everything's fine, like nothing even happened. And so it can give you this false sense that everything is okay now. You may feel like there's no abusive behaviors manifesting. So you can tell yourself, it's never going to happen again. That was then, this is now. Things are good now. During this stage, your relationship may feel pretty normal in comparison to what you see with your friends' relationships with their spouse. The relationship may even feel loving. But if there's not been resolution to the deeper issues, then you're still on the carousel and you're heading towards the buildup. Round and round we go. Those underlying issues haven't changed and they haven't been dealt with. They're just kind of in dormancy right now. Here's the hard truth. When we're in that peaceful put on, those issues have gone into dormancy, but only for a season. And then they're going to start to grow and fester in the other person. Before you know it, the buildup is happening and you're heading towards an explosion again. These are the things that we want to start recognizing. Is this a pattern we're living in? Is this a cycle, a loop? Is this a carousel I'm living on? The stage of the peace put on is the stage that we want to do everything we can to mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically prepare ourselves for how to exit the carousel. I want you to know exiting the carousel does not necessarily mean a divorce. In some cases, it may go there if the other person is not willing to get any help. For many, exiting the carousel would be a welcome thing to both individuals. They just need the skills in place and the tools in order to come out of that cycle. A few things to note about stage 4, the peace put on. Some people never experience that particular stage. And honestly, that's an even harder path. If you don't have the peace put on stage, that fake, false, calm time, you're going straight from build up to blow up to spin cycle to build up to blow up to spin cycle. That's an even more difficult journey. But you still have choice. I will say this forever. We always have choices. It doesn't mean they're going to be easy. It doesn't mean they're going to be pretty. And it doesn't mean they're going to be quick, but we have choice. And at any time, we don't have to stay on the carousel ride. We can wait till it slows down and step off. And if need be, we can jump off. We can create safe boundaries within ourselves of what we will and won't put up with and tolerate. And for more information on setting boundaries, I'd recommend you listen to my episode, 3 Lifelines for Hidden Abuse. That will give you some beginning steps that you can take. The other thing to note about the 4 stages is that early on in a relationship, you may not go around the carousel that often, but the frequency could increase over time. The longer you've been in a relationship, the more frequent the rotations around the carousel can happen. It took me a very long time to come to terms with the carousel ride. It was hard for me to admit to myself what was going on. I didn't want to believe it, and I was afraid to do anything about it. I am so thankful to God that I jumped off that carousel ride. I'm on a straight linear path forward now and have been for years. My joy has come back. My peace, holy cow. Yeah. There's nothing like that. And I just want to encourage you, the ride of your life doesn't have to be total chaos. It can be a journey with peace, with adventure, but with peace. So don't give up. I believe God has you. And I believe He has put you in touch with this podcast to strengthen you, to give you hope, to help you to know you're not alone. You are so not alone. God has revelation and knowledge that He wants to share with you for your unique situation. Let me just pray with you. God, I pray right now that you will clarify to my friend what steps they need to take to safeguard themselves, perhaps their children. I pray that they would start seeing through the illusion, that you would graciously give them your eyes to see what's going on. I pray your protection around them. I pray for great wisdom and insight of how to walk out their journey. Thank you that they don't have to try to figure it all out, but you will guide and direct them. Bring safe people around them, God. Bring people of wisdom that have knowledge and experience that can help them. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, brave one, I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you for spending time with me. If this has brought any level of help to you, if you've received a moment of clarity through this, would you just take a minute and subscribe? And right down here, if you would put a comment, just put a little comment right there, and let me know that this meant something to you and it helped you. That does a lot to get this into the hands of the people who need to hear this the most. So I just thank you, and I look forward to the next time we're together. So be sure to join me for my next episode. I am going to share with you 4 key steps. If you find yourself on the endless carousel, you need to implement and put in your life. All right, people. I think that's a wrap.
Just a reminder, I'm not a licensed therapist or medical professional. This podcast shares my personal experiences and perspectives for educational support, not professional advice. Identifying details have been changed for privacy. If you need help, contact a licensed mental health professional, trusted support, or crisis hotline. Full disclaimer is in the description.